Today I've been doing the book review from I started but let's say 2 days ago, so I'm just trying to round up and finish up on time so that everyone will rest. So now I'm in chapter 8. So I'm just going to do chapter 8 to 9 just right now, and if I can come back again, I'll do maybe 9 to the end and I'll just finish up and round up because I have other things to do. So basically, the chapter 8. So I'm doing the book review of Prudence Apiniko's book that is titled Brand New Baby Girl, and she talked about a journey to healing. That's chapter 8. And trust me, this chapter is just a wake up call, for Christians, because it's titled The Gift of Men, and it's all about how God places people in your life as a gift to guide you, to direct you, and to support you. In this chapter, that's chapter 8, Prudence opened up about finding the right spiritual community at Salt City Church. I don't know where the church is. And she said the church actually transformed her life and her marriage completely. And she recounted how walking into the church on her birthday, which was July 18. So her birthday is July 18. So she walked into the church July 18, 2018, and then it changed everything about her life. So God's presence lifted a huge burden, and for the first time in a long time, she and her husband felt hope. They've just been like looking for hope, jumping from one place to the other, but that particular day was the day she found, freedom. She found a different fellowship. So through the church fellowship, she found a safe space to open up about her pains and her struggles. And there was one woman in the church that told her that her story is not peculiar. People have been through so many things, like marriage is not bed of roses, and that all those words that the woman told her kind of like changed her life and made her to know that she's not the only one going through issues in marriage. And the woman told her that the devil's biggest trick is making you think that you're alone in your struggle, but you're not alone in your struggle. So for anyone going through stuffs, you're not alone. So many people are going through many things, So she also reviewed the moment of real struggles and vulnerability in her own life, including a time that she felt so bitter with her husband, and she posted something about it on her WhatsApp status. She posted from 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 8, yes. And that scripture says that a man who cannot take care of his family is worse than an infidel. So a pastor's wife saw it and had to correct her and showed her how to change her actions, just so that you don't have to reflect or show out whatever you're passing through your marriage, to the outside world. So all those moments, like the pastor's wife was like a mentor to her, it was trying to like help her, and it taught her how to pause and to take wise decisions and to avoid having a destructive behavior. Prudence emphasized how wrong company almost destroyed her marriage. Like she was just having so much wrong companies around her, but when she was surrounded by godly mentors and friends, it kind of like restored her hope. And yeah, she talked about Proverbs chapter 13 verse 20, which says that walk with the wise and become wise. So if you want to be wise, you have to walk with the wise people. But if you want to be foolish, you walk with foolish people. So, and then she also talked about Psalms chapter 68 verse 6 that says, God places the solitary in families. So from our book, from that chapter 8, the key lessons that were there is that God sends people as gifts to you, and that the right counsel can save your marriage, your faith, and your future. And do not isolate yourself. Like, she had to, go to church, and then she got a solution from there. So isolation is the enemy still to your freedom. Correction is protection. Add truth and loving accountability keeps us from self-sabotage. Online services aren't enough. That's what she wrote in her book. She said you have to come out from your comfort space to, to fellowship physically with people. You cannot just say you're doing online services, and most of these online services, you're doing online services and then you're cooking, you're doing online services, you're eating, you're doing online services, you're pressing your phone, you're doing online services, you're like so distracted. The distraction in online services are so much. So if you really want to say you're worshiping God and you're fellowshipping, you have to like be physically there. The way me I see churches these days, I see churches as just a community of people where I want to associate with, because I'm really scared of so many things. I've heard so many things about pastors, leaders, and all that. So in my mind, I'm just like, okay, if I'm going to a church, I just do that. Oh, I'm going to a community. I'm part of this community. I want to associate with this community, and that is it. So for me, I'm running up on chapter 8. The chapter 8 reminded me that no matter how strong you think you are, you actually need the right people in your corner. And if you're feeling alone, you're not alone. God is there for you. So God will definitely send helpers to raise you up from any situation you find yourself. So you can just drop a comment about someone who has been a gift of men in your life, and don't forget to like and to share and to subscribe. So now I'm going to just move to the chapter 9. So in the chapter 9 is just slightly different a bit. So chapter 9 was just talking about the problems that they had in the marriage, and Prudence was talking about the major struggles in her marriage, and most of the problems she faced, some other marriages experience it also. So it's just that people are just scared to admit it. So Prudence took us through the hard truths about her marriage journey, how she broke down, with all the mistakes she has always been having and the lessons that almost cost them everything. So in her book, the key struggles that she shared was that she lacked planning. So she and her husband, they lived, spontaneously with no structure or goals. So Prudence and her husband, they just didn't have any structure. They just like lived as life came. This is how you're just existing apparently. And she reflected it from Luke chapter 14 verse 28, which says that counting the cost and planning wisely. Like, you have to count your cost and you have to plan wisely, but they lacked that in their marriage. Also, in her marriage there was unforgiveness and malice, and they developed a pattern of silent treatment. At first, they would quickly reconcile after their fights. That was maybe the first year of marriage. But after 2 years of marriage, they got tired of themselves. They would keep malice with themselves. They won't talk to each other. And over time, the malice became a norm. Then the slow decay made their marriage to become unbearable. Before, she wrote that she can't, the plan was that if they have an argument with each other, they shouldn't go to sleep with the argument. But after 2 years, they just got tired. Like, they just don't talk to each other for days, weeks, and then they just got used to that kind of life. Also, another struggle that she shared was poor communication. She said instead of talking through issues, they would avoid them. And she even admits that her husband's way of apologizing was through sex. Like, instead of he to like talk things over, like explain, this is why this happened, I don't want this to happen again, and all that, he would just like ask for sex, and then to him that's just the only way he can get over that. And that's further deepened her resentment. So if you want to have a good relationship with your spouse, you need to have healthy conversations and meaningful apologies, not just looking for a means to an end. So another thing that Prudence wrote that she lacked was submission as a wife. No, she lacked submission. So she admitted that she used to see submission as slavery, and that, but now, as she's writing the book, God has revealed to her, and God is trying to make her God centered, like to support her husband in any way she can. So, as at the time she's writing the book, she's like born again, she changed, but this is just her past life. So she learned that marriage required humility, prayer, intentional encouragement, and all that. Another thing she learned was being a safe space to her husband. So she realized that her husband didn't open up to her because she was a critic instead of an encourager. So instead of her to support this man is struggling, trying to make her better, trying to see what he can do. But instead of her supporting him, she was always like trying to bring him down. She was always trying to discourage him. She was always saying words that were demeaning to him, making him feel less than what it was. So it was really bad for the man. Another thing she struggled with was leadership. She had leadership struggles. Her husband was supposed to take the leadership role, you know, but the decision making was really bad for him, and it was really influenced by his family. So it caused some tension in their home. So, and she too, as a very nagging wife, she doesn't even let him calm down. Like, she just gives it to him as his odds. And another thing is, there was no relationship with God in their marriage. They only prayed when things were really sour and bad. That's when they would just run to God to say, "Oh God, this is what they want." So there was no real closeness to God. No, nothing. They were just living life as it came. Another thing that she wrote was that Prudence said they had no role model, which is very important. They had no godly examples of marriages. They were simply repeating patterns they saw growing up. She stresses the importance of mentorship and leadership in marriage. And then another thing is they lacked maturity. So she said that age is not maturity. They were financially, emotionally, and mentally dependent on their parents, which led to control and conflict. Like, she was married, they were both married, she and her husband, but still, financially, emotionally, everything, they were just still dependent on their parents and other people for support. Even basic decisions about their home and their child's school were made by others because they were very, very independent. And that's also very wrong. Like, literally, Prudence marriage was just, it started in a very wrong way. And I don't even know how she stood the test of time up to 10 years because now the marriage is breaking up now. But I don't know how the marriage stood up to 10 years. So, the key lessons from that chapter 9 is that marriage takes intentional planning. It's not just about you trying to say you want to, you have to try to intentionally work things out by yourself. And then as a woman, you have to calm down. You can't just be always nagging and nagging and nagging, nag the man out. Definitely. The man will always feel bad. He doesn't even know what to say because doesn't know if he says this one now, maybe it will cause more issues. The unforgiveness is also a poison. Don't normalize silence and malice in marriage. Like, when you're in a relationship with somebody, don't feel like, oh, I should always keep silent and keep malice. Malice is very bad. Very, very, very. If you're used to keeping malice, please just stop. It's not good at all. Like, I don't think you can make heaven if you always keep malice. Always have healthy communications and all that. So, I want to ask you guys a question. I don't know if there's any chat because I can't even see any chat. So, like, have you guys ever realized you were repeating your parents' mistake in your own relationship? Like, because what Prudence said was that she realized that she was repeating patterns. That's what this chapter was talking about. She was repeating the same thing that was happening in our own parents' family. So you have to check all those things. What are the patterns that your family is doing, your current father and mother, and you don't want it in your own marriage, you don't want it in your own relationship. You have to work, you know towards resolving all those things so that it doesn't affect you also. So to be brutally honest, I love you because she was being real anyway. She was really being real, but not just the Instagram perfect kind of thing. She was being real about marriage, but I'm just so scared because now that the marriage is breaking and splitting, all these things she has written, I just hope they will not be used against her. So if you're struggling in your marriage, this book can remind you that you're not alone. Yeah. You guys just drop a comment and like this video and subscribe. I might come back. I'm going to end the video now, just like now. The thing is, to record a video is very hard, so I just prefer to just go live and just talk, and that's it. I'm going to do the other one, chapter 10, 11, yes, just to round up, and that's fine now. Bye bye guys, one love.